If you happen to come across any of these videos or a certain video of mine and you want to know more, or it's not making any sense to you because you started in the middle somewhere, of course, just click on here for newbie day traders. Go to videos, sort by oldest to newest, and just start from the beginning and just follow along. The approach I'm trying to do with this video series for beginners in day trading penny stocks or stocks, and I'm going to try to get better at it as I go, is I'm trying not to do two things, not to go drill deep in one area. And that would be like, for example, trying to give you just everything you need to know about how to use candlesticks, or everything you need to know how to use trend lines, or something like that. I don't want to go too shallow all the time either, and just throw, okay, here's a candlestick, here's this, here's that, here's, the other. Let me put it to you a different way. I believe this is a 30 speed mountain bike. And I am of the idea or belief, whatever you want to call it, that the sooner you jump into something, the sooner you can feel productive, and you can have fun or get frustrated, but you're doing something. And so if trading stocks is like learning how to ride this 30 speed bike, what I would like to do is just get you on that bike. So I'll put it in first gear for you, and I'll tell you, I'm assuming you already know how to balance. I'm not going to do that for you. And I'll tell you, you pedal this way if you want to make the bike move, and you don't go backwards to brake. Instead, you squeeze these little handles here, right and left, for the brakes, and then I'll let you ride it just a little bit until you stop, and then I'll say, so phase two would say, all right, say it's the left handle. Say if you squeeze the left handle first, and then you squeeze the right handle, the bike won't buck when you brake because you started braking the rear wheels first and then the front wheels. And once you get comfortable with riding up and down, in a little circle right there in front of me and braking and so on, you'll say, yeah, but I feel like I'm pedaling too fast. Okay. So you see this other little lever, and then I'll start showing you how to change one gear wheel, maybe the rear one perhaps, down a little bit, and then the front, and so on. So you're riding a bike already, and I'm slowly introducing you of the different features of the bike. And so that's what I'm trying to do with this series of trading stocks. What that means then, when we're talking about trading, paper trading right now on, for example, Webull.com, which is our paper trading platform for now, is that just like I'm going to keep going over the bike over and over again, just keep introducing new parts of the bike and new things to do, I'm going to touch on different things repeatedly on Webull.com, but every time you get to a little more, and in the meantime you get to use it, and you can get try your hand at making money, paper money, with paper trading. And believe it or not, you may not be able to put a label on what you're learning, but just the act of trying to buy stocks, selling stocks, making, perhaps losing, and so on, and using the platform, you're absorbing something. That knowledge is becoming part of you, even if you can't articulate what it is that you learned. In case you're wondering what we're looking at, this is our Webull.com trading platform. It looks different from previous videos because I went over here to settings, and I had gone from light setting or light theme to dark theme. We're here in the paper trading section of our trading platform, and I have right now a watch list box, and I have a chart. It's small at the moment. We can come up here and add positions, and we'll get to that in a bit. Let's move that down a bit. Then we can add orders. We'll get to that as well in a bit. Put it down here. And let's blow up our chart so that we can talk about it. All right, so the question could be, why did I happen to pick this particular stock? Well, I only wanted to deal with one because I'm doing lessons here. And as a newbie, you would probably want to start with one to practice instead of being distracted by picking several different ones. I happened to get this particular stock, JPEX, from our Yahoo stock screener, and it happened to look nice. And what I mean by nice, I'm here at the 1 year mark, and if you'll notice, there is definite upward trend for this stock. This stock actually can bring up the following questions or ideas or suggestions. So we've been talking about day trading penny stocks, but so you could also be an investor where you have a long hold, like a year or something like that. You could do swing trading, which is multi-day. Say you don't close out your positions at the end of the day, which is typically day trading, but you hold it for a day or two or a week or something like that. That's swing trading. And you can do multiple trades within the same day. So you could look at this stock that we've seen briefly and think about, do I want to do all of these? Now, I covered previously the difference between technical analysis and fundamental analysis and doing DD or your due diligence. I haven't done any of that on this stock. I've done some very basic technical analysis. In other words, I've just used what we've covered in the video series. That's all I've done. But because of the way the stock looks, you kind of wonder if any or all of these might be possible. It's just something to consider. Now, trying to do all of these simultaneously is not as straightforward as you might think for several reasons. And I don't want to get too much into it right now because the video is going to get long. But for just very briefly, you have a certain amount of money, whether it's fake or not, you have a certain amount, a finite amount. And you also have the settlement time where transactions are settled and things like that. Plus, you also have if I bought some blocks of shares at this low price and I turn around and sell them because I was doing high frequency trading or day trading, are they then not available for swing trading? And would I get, will it go back down to that price again? So, or if I got a good deal, on some low cost blocks, and I want to hold, but I want to do these, then what do I, what about the blocks that I had that I sold? So then you have to start thinking about, well, maybe I'm going to buy certain different blocks, and I'm going to hold some, swing some, day trade some. I don't want to get into any more details of that because the video is going to get too long. But I mentioned it because this particular penny stock, this is back here in June, and it's been doing a slow climb all the way up. So you got to wonder, again, without doing any due diligence or fundamental analysis, but just looking at this, it looks pretty good, right? So even though I'm going to be day trading, maybe high frequency trading, I did look at a year, and this is actually what gave me some confidence to let's jump into the stock as opposed to all the other ones. So then I just started going down. So here we are at 6 months, and I want to now start looking near the most recent times to see if I can, know or have an idea when's a good time to jump into a position with this stock. And I just kept, zooming in. So we narrowed in on 5 days. I clicked on 5 days, but then by the way, you can, if you roll if you have a wheel on your mouse and you roll it like so, you get more or less time periods shown on the chart. Also, though, it affects your, your intervals. Each of those are intervals, right? We know that we know a little bit, we've learned a little bit about trend lines, support, and trending resistance. So looking back here, this is what, January 14th. I could zoom out some. I think this is the maximum at 5 minutes. I decided, why don't I try to draw some trend lines? By the way, so when I actually started doing this is right here. So I drew this white vertical line. So try to ignore, pretend that none of this part of the chart exists. We only know our present moment, think of it, is up to here. We have no idea what's going to happen out here. Since I'm day trading, and I've already decided I want to get into the stock. I don't need to go that far back to start drawing a trend line. So, I don't know. I think the end of January is quite a bit back. So, a good rule of thumb, typically for starting to draw trend lines, is to pick 3 high peaks, 3 low peaks. Here's a good example for the resistance line. Here's one peak up here. Here's another peak, and here's another peak. So just draw that resistance trend line. I sort of got 3. Don't expect all 3 to touch the line necessarily, but here's one low peak, here's another low peak, and here's another low peak. And I extended the trend lines out into the future. We have not talked about trend line patterns at all, but just a little bit of common sense. You can tell, you should be able to tell, I hope, by looking at the angles going forward into the future of the resistance and the support trend line. It looks positive, it looks promising, right? We can prove that, for example, by just drawing a horizontal line. We'll just pick a point. So there's our horizontal line. And as you can tell, the angle of the support and the resistance is trending upward. That's one thing we can tell. The other thing we can tell is, I hope, that there's a narrowing. So they're converging, right? Let's talk very briefly of trending resistance and support lines. So I drew some out here just to give you an idea. I would say this upper left here is probably not good. They're both trending downward, and in fact, and they are converging, and in fact, the resistance is trending down faster than the support. The middle one here, they're both converging, and it could be maybe that the support is increasing slightly faster than the convergence is lowering, but I would say this one, we don't know. This could be a sideways stock that's trading with just decreasing volatility. And then this last one, they're converging, trending upward, and I would say this one's good. At least I would definitely worth looking into more. And finally, this one here might be even better than this one. I don't know. The resistance is definitely holding. It's pretty solid hold here. It's not giving way, but there's also rapidly increasing support. And so is this like a case of filling the gap from a previous gap? Is there going to be a breakout? Who knows? I'm not saying don't start trading due to one of these that you might think is negative, but I'm saying be aware of them. Remember, we're trading as newbies. We only know a certain amount. We're paper trading. Even I think you learn more sometimes by your mistakes than otherwise. And since it's not your money, treat it like your money, but it isn't real money. So you can afford to make mistakes. So try things. All right, so since this video is getting long, I'm going to call this part 1, which is just kind of why I chose this stock. And then we'll take a closer look and do other things or look at other things in the next video with this stock and this chart.